Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Places We'll Go show. Another belter in store for you today. Today we have the magnificent Alessandra Bellini. Welcome, Ali.
Thank you very much. Welcome all.
Yeah, lovely to have you with us. Long overdue. I can't believe it's taken this long to figure it out, but you're quite a busy person. But fabulous to have you on. I'll do a bit of a bio. Many, if not most people will be familiar with you, but I'm going to bring that to life a little bit. I've also got a few nice words from somebody quite close to you as part of that intro. So you started your career agency side, Chief Customer Officer for Tesco for 6.5 years, and that's probably the signature of you. So today we're going to get some insights about what's it like to be a leader of the largest UK supermarket. But there's a lot more texture to you than just the roles you've held. You've been a strong member of WACL for years. You're president of the AA for the last 2.5 years. Just about to move into being chair of the MGGB, which for many people who maybe aren't aware, this is an elite body of marketing and agency folks in the UK. And then now you're transitioning, not in that way, but towards a more portfolio plural life. And I'm sure you're going to achieve some amazing things. I think you're going to have to be sort of fighting people off for all the things that you could get involved in. But what I was going to just do to finish this little intro was a little comment from Nick Clements. I know he was a colleague and manager of yours for many years. So Nick said a lovely thing. He said that Ali is one of the smartest marketing people I've ever worked with, has great instincts and the gift for getting the best out of those around her. So we're hoping, Richie, no pressure, we're hoping we'll get the best out of you, but I know this is going to be a cracker. So welcome to the show, Ali.
Thank you both. I am very, very pleased to be here, 163rd guest. You have stamina, perseverance, and your boundless curiosity, obviously. So lovely to be here with both of you.
Well, we absolutely love doing this for all that time, and it's just absolutely fantastic to have you on. Tell me then, we talk about boundless persistence. You've had such a mega career. What role has persistence played within that career journey?
Yeah, quite big. I was recently doing a test about your strengths, and I thought I knew, and people normally ask me what type of leader you are. I do think that one of the things that actually supported me through my career has been grit and perseverance. I persevere in life. I never give up. I never ever give up. And it's more through the determination of proving to myself that I can do it rather than any ambition for glory or medals. It's more really being interested in getting things done, in getting to the places we said we'd get to. What I did, I just played with the title of your podcast.
Yeah, we'll see what you did there. So we had Dom Grounsell on just about a week ago and probably published about a week before this one. And he also mentioned that word grit. And to be fair, actually, Richie, that word hasn't come up that much. But of course, it's so important because so many setbacks and roadblocks along the way. I need to prove it to myself versus the medals. Of course, the medals have followed. But where does that come from, the desire to prove to myself?
Massive insecurity. The fact that I didn't really have, although it's gone worse. I think when I was younger, I was more confident than I am as I grow older and more senior. And I remember a few years ago, one of the bosses said, "What are you guys so afraid of? You're very senior." He was talking to his exec team, not very motivational. And he said, "You have everything. Why are you so worried?" And I know it's a paradox, but the more you grow, the more senior you are, the more I felt all my life, all my career, that I didn't belong there. And so I needed to continuously prove to myself that I did, that I wasn't just a fluke. It wasn't just because I'm nice or whatever. I think that's where it comes from.
Yeah, I tell you, that's I've never heard a senior leader so articulately say that, and in that sense. And I wonder if we could dig into that a little bit more, because I sense that as you get more senior, maybe as your decision-making powers increase, so does the level of ambiguity when making those decisions in and around you. And perhaps even at points, you may feel slightly even more disconnected from the consumer as you perhaps scale in the heights of an organization. You kind of, that gap, that psychological gap increases. Do you feel sort of some of those elements play a part in that, lack of confidence?
No, actually, I don't think that's it. But I think it's quite weird because I think people will describe me as confident, and I feel quite confident in the decision I make or the work that we do. I feel quite relaxed about that. I feel, we'll talk about the Tesco experience particularly, has brought me very close to our customers then, we call our customers, and I really champion marketing as a lever of connecting companies, their strategies, their financial goals, commercial outcomes to the people they serve, whoever they may be, readers, consumers, customers, viewers, listeners. And I think that's the art of marketing, is the art and the science of marketing, connecting those two things. If you do it well, they'll work really, really well. Everybody's happy. If you do it badly, somebody's not happy. Either the consumers, they don't care about you and your brand, or the company. And that's fine for me. I think lack of self-confidence, who knows where it comes from? I haven't really gone into it that much. But it's a weird one. It's more about me, where I'm not really confident, but I'm really happy with the decision and the work that we do. And by now I know it, and it's fine. I'll tap myself in the back every now and then and carry on.
Yeah, well, the helpful thing maybe to say to anybody listening in, and many guests have talked about this, is that there's something human about imposter syndrome. In fact, everybody has it except for narcissists and sociopaths and psychopaths. So, it's sort of everyone's in a good club in that way, even if it's, sometimes painful. But you talked about championing marketing, and then in the same breath you talked about Tesco and what a fine case study it is. So, I mean, give us the soup to nuts of how you champion marketing at Tesco to such great effect.
That's a great question. It's called customer for a reason. It's called the customer team, not the marketing team. Well, I have a pet peeve about how marketing is used these days as a word. We'll get to that perhaps later. The customer team is one of the three core pillars at Tesco, together with the product team. So all of those wonderful people who will buy products from their suppliers, sell products in terms of the commercial strategy, help the product development, the quality, and all the rest of it, the commercial team, the retailers, and the channels teams, all of those other 350,000 at Tesco who work in stores, distribution, and kind of, facing to the customers. So there's product, channels, and customer. Those are the three core functional teams. They're interdependent. And if they work well and depend on each other, but also have a nice, healthy dynamic, things go well. And when they don't, or one is, more important than the others in terms of how they work for the business, then things kind of skew on one side of the commercial interest, or just the operational interest, or just the consumer interest, but maybe the brand interest for its own sake, rather than for delivering on the goals. Because at Unilever, most of the FMCG companies, marketing is kind of the conceptual leader of the work. Everything comes out of marketing, R&D, supply chain, finance. Whereas in a retailer, it doesn't. You're interdependent, equal when you're lucky, when you're good, in a company like Tesco, with the other functions. So there's a very healthy dynamic. And therefore, it's a much bigger, more important job, because bringing the right elements of customer to the Tesco decision table, you need to pick your moments, pick your time, but you have a huge responsibility. And everybody's absolutely interested, but you have to do it at the right time. And I've also learned you don't need to teach marketing to the whole company. You don't have to explain everything, your machinations. You just need to bring what you think is the best insight, what you think is the best proposition, development, and then get on with your marketing communications at the right time. But it's that dynamic of working together that is really, really interesting. And how do you bring them all together?
If I cast my mind back, Ali, 6.5 years ago, Tesco was in a very different place than it is today. Coming in at the helm in that moment, and then building up and transitioning into getting it back into great health, there must have been lots of trials and tribulations. And I wondered if perhaps you can reflect just on a few key highlights on that journey, and perhaps how you were able to work within the context of the team to be able to make that transition happen?
It's really a case of it takes a village. The whole company was in a turnaround when I joined. It was halfway through the turnaround. Dave Lewis was at the helm. There was a new executive team. And the role of customer, as I described, had just been re-established. So there was a lot of work to do as a customer team to find out who we were, how we worked, how we served the business, and kind of leave behind some of the old behaviors, good and bad. But also perception internally was a big battle. We had to prove our worth. We had to show that we were there for the business, for the customers, to make things better. And we had to do an awful lot of internal work to raise the bar in terms of quality, rigor, discipline, fundamentals, simply as a function of the team had been kind of moved in and out all the time with lots of people. So there was a work of internally raising the bar of how we worked, what we did, what we were about, what we were not about. And then I say externally within the company to actually prove that working with a customer team would be productive, fast, the pace is enormous. You need to be really pragmatic and get on with it. And then for the customers, do the work with the brand. So it was the first 2 or 3 years, I think, were all about doing that, consolidating, simplifying, raising the bar, putting some fundamentals in place, shutting things down and then amplifying the enormous resources that Tesco has, and then making choices. Tesco can talk about a million things every day. So how do you make choices? How do you have a one campaign at a time, or 2 at a time, or 3 at a time, but not 15? Couldn't have done it without a team, without all of the exec being part of that. And that was like the first part of the job.
The title of marketing versus customer. Where are marketers getting it wrong in terms of that perception dynamic?
I find that often marketing is used as a synonym for advertising, and that really irks me. And marketing is, as we know, it's 4 Ps, 5 Ps, 6 Ps, well, however many Ps you want. I know you had some really, really important, people, the theory of marketing here on the podcast. But I think marketing is all of the levers that will allow your company vision and strategy to connect with its customers, of which the P for promotional advertising is only one, and sometimes not even the most important one. So I think there's a really conscious choice about calling it customer because it's representing who we work for. And it includes the loyalty program, the insight, the propositioning, the benefits, the experiences that the customers had when you have a retailer. That's really important, including then and ending with the advertising point of sale, PR, media, or marketing communication. So it's a very broad remit. But I think conceptually it's more important because it talked about who we were working for, i.e. the customers, who we were representing internally, i.e. the customers, and not ourselves, not the awards, not the kind of the shiny bit at the end of all the really hard work.
I love that notion, and keeping the customer central in everything, even in the perception of the minds of colleagues going through. It reminds me of, sort of framing where people like Jeff Bezos said there was like a customer chair in the boardroom, which was empty to remind them that there was always the customer present, etc.
And just love to know some of the moments where maybe you've defied the data or the conventional wisdom or made that bold decision where you have, despite maybe the reservations, you've trusted your instinct.
I didn't realize until much, much later in my professional career that I had a good instinct, and I used to never listen to it. And then it kind of proved right later. So literally, I think halfway through my career at Unilever, I started to think maybe I should just listen to my instinct. I loved advertising. I loved everything about it. And then I loved even more marketing. And then I loved even more retail. And I find that the layers are the same thing. But I do feel I have what I've learned in advertising and then at Unilever and then at Tesco is there's that bit that is the insight, the real insight, not what people say, not what people say they want or don't want, but how they say it, what's behind it, why they say it is the real insight, is the insight behind the question. And it's all about how you ask the questions. It's not the questions you ask, because you do this now as a part of your job. So the real insight coupled with your real edge as a product or a service or an experience, bringing those two together and finding the way through is almost like the thread of a needle. When you find that and it works and it's different from the others, and then you bring it to life in a really exciting, creative way for that job, that company, that brand, that person, that's when it all works like magic. Now, it's the reason why I call marketing, it's an art and it's a science. You can learn the science, you must learn the science, even more so these days. But it's a bit of an art as well. And if you don't have human empathy for human beings and people, if you don't have a little bit of instincts for the art of the word and the visual, you'd find it a lot harder, I think. You can still do it. There's lots of ways of doing it. But I genuinely think it's the combination of heart and mind and gut. And using those three, you just learn it. Because I've not gone to school, so to speak, I'm all about practical learning on the job and finding ways to make it work.
It's fascinating. And I think, for the longest time now, you have been the conductor in what has been a huge orchestra, and an orchestra of so many different types of people, both within the organization as well as the wider ecosystem that you need to harness. And I wonder, in order to infuse that sense of instinct, getting to the real nub of that real insight, the combination of that art and that science, how do you as the conductor get the most out of all the people around you in order to achieve this objective?
I always ask myself that question because I probably say ask the people more than me, because I don't know that it's totally conscious. But what I try and do consciously, again, I think I've learned at Unilever, the best brands in the world, not just in Unilever, but around the world, are those who are managed very tightly. Very tightly. I always use the example of Apple because that's the one that most people will be familiar with. It's managed very tightly. It's sacred. You don't do certain things. You don't change the logo. You don't change the color. You don't play with the logo, the color, the innovation, the design, etc. It's like, it's a dogma. And at Unilever, brands like Dove or Magnum or Knorr or Hellmann's have the same type management. So one of the things I always try to share with my team was that you need to be very rigorous and the more discipline you have about a brand, the more creative you can be. The tighter you manage a brand, in a very rigid way, the more you can go out of that consciously and create disruption. So I think on the what, I've always been very keen that we learn the basic, the disciplines. We use the right language. I always go, it's not marketing, it's communication. It's not that, it's the proposition, like a bit like an old teacher, boring. But I believe in the fundamentals. And then I think in terms of leadership behavior, I like people who are enthusiastic, positive, they have energy. I like the mixture of people who are really geeking about the data and the facts, and those who are very, visionary. And ideally, you want a bit of both in everyone in marketing or in a team. I want it to be based on facts and not fiction. So check your facts. Look at it and be very results and business oriented. That's also what's been very important. Okay, we say that's a big opportunity for customers, but how big is it? And is it really big? Have you measured it? So those are some of the things, the harder edge things. And then just people who have good values, who are nice to each other, who are kind, who are patient, respectful. They don't mind pushing on the boundaries, but they have to do it with respect and some self-reliance and strength as well, because as you said, it's a tough job.
Wow. Finest hour and darkest hour. Not an easy question, but finest hour and darkest hour.
I've had many, many fine hours when we managed successfully launch of a brand or a product, when we found a hard to find campaign about something that seemed seemingly really hard to find, like a vanilla ice cream. I remember one of the vanilla ice cream campaign, how hard is it to do vanilla? Biggest flavor of ice cream in the world for the biggest brand of ice cream in the world in the States. And we did. And it was like, it's good to be vanilla. And I had the whole sustainability story and really turned around the destiny of that brand. But some really difficult times. And the difficult ones are always associated with people-related problems. So when we had to restructure, change the team, reorganize, lose people, move business, or where I chosen the wrong people sometimes for the wrong job. Those are the mistakes you regret most, or even when I made someone not feel great about themselves, which has happened. Those are all the things that I think people will actually remember much more than the good ones, and sometimes the bad ones, than whether I launch a product successfully, whether one campaign was good or bad. I think however hard we try on the what, people will only remember us for the how.
It makes me wonder that there are many people out there, perhaps at the cusp of a change in their careers, or looking to join aspirational customer-led teams that you have effectively led in the past. And I wonder if there's, any insight that you could give on perhaps the skills, capabilities, thoughts that would help somebody who's currently looking at doing something different and potentially getting into a disruptive customer team that you've led.
So the tip I always give, whatever the job is, embrace it all, go for it. If I hadn't gone for it, gone into advertising, moved to the UK, gone back, gone into marketing at Unilever, however scary it is, go for it, embrace it, love the challenges, take the opportunities. It wasn't all easy. It wasn't all just a wonderful, successful upward ride, but it was well worth it. I think you need to be curious. You need to really listen. That's something I'm still learning. I started, Mark will smile, I started the coaching training myself as well, Mark. And all because I really wanted to hone into my ability to really listen rather than talk to people and give them solutions. But the more you can do it at an earlier age, and then just be a marketeer. Open your eyes, open your ears, look around, look at what people shop, drink, drive, read. Be curious about people, and then you'll be fine. To go with the discipline, the theory, and all the stuff that you learn in school or on the job. But most of all, look around yourself.
So there's probably so many opportunities available to you. What are you excited about? How are you going to decide what to get into and not get into? What are you ambitious for? All in that space of what's next for you, Ali?
What I've decided I want to do is to continue with being curious about different companies and learning about different industries. That's what I've done, and it served me well. And I want to use all of it and learn about new. So I'm passionate about food and retail and hospitality and media and advertising, all the things I've done in my life. And if I can marry them with a job and a role where I don't have to do the things myself anymore, but I can help by learning the art of listening and asking the right questions, help other people deliver magnificent work, that will make me very happy. And if I can do it with people on the boards who are brilliant and I can learn from, and brilliant chairs, that will make me also very happy. So we shall see. I genuinely don't know. But I'm excited. I'm connected with a lot of people, which is easy enough. Thank God. I love coffee and I love people, so that's okay. And we will see where it will take me. But I'm quite happy to be in the unknown and uncertainty after so much time of being in the known and certain.
I love that. A slightly more ambiguous path, but yet super exciting. Gosh, on that note, Ali, we're out of time for the session. So it's for me to first of all just say a massive thank you for your time. It has been an honor, really. And I've seen such a different side to you today than I have in the past when I've seen you at more formal gatherings. So it's been such a privilege. It really has, to get to talk to you.
Richie, Mark, thank you for what you do for this industry, because you're spending all this time where you're interviewing people, writing about it, and taking the care and the passion is really important. So I want to really thank you for what you put in it. Not very many people would do it for 160 plus episodes and more to come. So wishing you all the best for it.
Thank you, Ali. It's our privilege and honour. But thank you.